How did it feel bringing new life to a story that has terrified people across the decades?
I think this adaptation, although it's a story that's been told before and obviously it's inspired by the H.G. Wells novel, it's a fresh look at it, and I would say it's inspired by that novel rather than, it's certainly not an adaptation of the book. It sort of uses that as a springboard. It's set in the present day, and I think when I first read the script, I mean, there's great science fiction around, but I have to say, as a genre, science fiction isn't like my go-to watch on TV if I'm or in cinema if I'm honest. And when I read this script, I didn't really see it as a science fiction. When I first read it, I sort of thought it was you know, about the human, that it was a human drama. So, and of course, it's against the backdrop of an alien invasion, so it has that very sci-fi backdrop. But what really drew me to the script and excited me about it was sort of following the journeys of these different characters who are put in this extraordinary, terrifying situation, and sort of following them. I felt for them, and I wanted to know more about them, and that's what drew me in.
Yeah, I'd be the same. I think it's really interesting to explore a scenario like that and see what it tells us about human beings and about our relationships with each other, and I think that's really exciting, and what's different about our version of War of the Worlds, and it's definitely flavoured with the themes of the aliens and with people, you know, things landing, but it's much more about the kind of relationships between the characters and their struggle to survive.
Perfect. And what does the setting of the series in the present day bring to the new version, would you say?
I mean, I would say it brings a whole other level with one of the more interesting things I thought we explored was our relationship with technology and our dependency on it. And, you know, we've grown so used to being able to solve things at the touch of our phones, or to communicate that way, and to, you know, travel using airplanes and all of that. And so I think it's interesting to kind of explore what it would be like if suddenly that technology wasn't available to us and we have to navigate the world using, you know, other tools. You know, we don't have Google Maps, which I was like, that's the one app I don't think I could live without. I don't know how to get anywhere. So that was really cool to kind of explore that aspect of it, and that's why the modern day adaptation's interesting.
I think something that struck me was that when these characters are, when you take away their possessions, their houses, their social status, you're left with just sort of the human being. And like our family in the story is middle class and would be, you know, very sort of socially acceptable, and the character Kareem is a refugee who's sort of just come illegally into the country, who you know, to put it bluntly, wouldn't be as valuable a human being in the society, the sort of the pre-invasion society. But when that's all stripped back and they've got nothing, the refugee character Kareem is the one who is much more equipped for this situation. He's been the one that has learnt survival because he's come from a war-torn land, and actually he's the one that shows much more kindness and humanity when certainly my character just doesn't have that capability. So I think sort of having everything stripped back, your technology, or, you know, the sort of the social norms that we hold to, I think that I found that interesting, and you sort of get to the core of people.
Definitely, and it shines a light on you know, on the privilege of our family, and suddenly that taken away, and how we're all, you know, human beings, and we all need to survive, and everyone's on an equal playing field. I think it's really important to look at things that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, very interesting, sort of terrifying as well.
Yeah.
Very interesting. What was the most surprising aspect of the adaptation for you as an actor?
I think when I first read it, I was struck by how even in these really extreme situations and circumstances that these characters find themselves, how the sort of the norms of life continue. Like my character is the mother of these two teenagers, and even though they're dealing with the fallout of an alien invasion, she's still dealing with teenage parenting, which and I think that's so human and so realistic that even in crisis, there's sort of the old niggles and. So I think there's just a real honesty about the writing that is refreshing. It's they're in this crisis, but there's still with all the different stories. You get sort of a flavour of what their life was before this situation. So I think that kind of roots it in a humanness that I found really attractive.
Yeah, similarly, like Emilie's, throughout the whole experience, she's kind of coming to terms with who she is, and my character has a kind of, I won't give too much away, but she has a connection of some kind to the aliens, and throughout all of this like fear and terror, she still really craves like spaghetti hoops. That was a really funny scene where, it's like the tiny things in life that we take for granted that you kind of really hold on to in that situation was quite interesting to look at, and the comforts in that. Yeah.
Perfect. And the production was a global one, with the story being told across the world. Do you think it's a reflection of the times, with the world coming together to face global crises?
To be honest, I feel like it's what the show is, I think, in one way trying to do is to show that that's a really important thing, that we do come together as a greater for a greater cause, rather than small internal disputes which seem to happen more in the world now. I think that's a really important message, that, at the end of the day, we're all human beings, we're all here for a short time, and we all want to survive and be happy and be healthy and have a good life, and it's important to show that everyone is like that, and we all should strive to give that to everyone in the world, I would say, which is a big theme. Yeah.
I think it was a really smart move, the fact that it's a co-production, and that it's set in England and France. I mean, it's called War of the World. It's not called War of the UK. So I think it just in terms of the story, having it in two different countries, you feel the sort of the expanse of the invasion. Do you know what I mean? You get a sense that it is that the whole of planet Earth has been affected by this, which I think would be much more difficult if it was just set in one country. Because you'd think maybe America's okay, but I think with this, that it's the whole world. I think it's great being part of a co-production. It's great that it's European and English. I think that's a really positive thing in these times, that British and French and America, it's those producers all working together, and like Daisy said, I think it's there's a common enemy, and people are have to work together to overcome that, and increasingly now you're seeing movements from the ground up, in terms of, say, the environment, that that's that's something that affects the whole world. It's not, no one's going to be immune from that. So I think it does reflect that.
Perfect. And just finally, how was it going to work every day to face the end of the world?
I really enjoyed it. I mean, I think because the story we were often our characters were in really stressful situations. It was quite all on the front foot. There weren't many I don't think there were any scenes where we were like just chilled. No, it was all pretty stressful. And I think because of that, I don't know, maybe we just sort of had a little breakout of just laughing.
Got a bit hysterical, didn't we?
Yeah,
quite a bit.
There was quite a lot of hysteria. I think.
If you're going to work every day and you're like in every scene, like any chance you get, you need to have a bit of like relief.
Yeah.
So yeah, yes, it was quite nice to kind of finish the day and go and have a nice dinner. And not be in that situation.
Yeah.
Very grateful for no aliens having landed yet.
Yeah. Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey